for filling in the feedback form. We'll now be moving on to how to chart your career map. So career mapping is so important, especially for youths who are just starting out their journey in their lives. It's important to set directions and goals regarding your career. Happier is here to teach us a little bit more about how to chart directions for the youths of today, and also to inform us about recruitment trends and skills that are in demand is always changing, especially during COVID. For this session, we're happy to have Julio, the founder and CEO at Happier. Julio is an Australian entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience in the recruitment and HR tech space. He has worked with both boutique and global search firms in Hong Kong, Shanghai, including starting and selling his own recruitment business, Grace Recruitment Group. For the last 3 years, he has been in HR tech space, building a next-gen career platform that is transforming the way companies and candidates match. We also have Thomas Huang from Happier, a Cambodian-born serial entrepreneur who grew up in USA and China. He is the country manager for a fast-growing edutech HR tech startup called Happier that is empowering today's workforce to be future-ready. Happier was recently accepted into the Cyberport incubation program, receiving Hong Kong dollars of 500,000. Thomas also has experience in angel investment funds and currently assists in hosting, mentoring, and judging pitching startup competitions. He is also a UNDP Cambodia Startup Advisor and Southeast Asia Investment Advisor. Now, before I invite my guest speakers to speak, I would like to remind you all that we will have time for Q&A. So if you have any questions along the way, do type it in the question Q&A tab. If your question has already been posted, please just upvote it so that we can get to it quickly. We'll address the questions after the presentation is completed so that the session can run smoothly. Thank you for your understanding. All right, Julio, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, so yeah, you can take it away.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, just let me know once you can see it.
Yeah, I see it, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to, I'm really excited to share, and I always love talking to young talent and sharing. This year we hired 30 interns from universities all around the world, Hong Kong, Singapore, US, UK. So I've always been really amazed with the young talent today and how much they're very eager to learn. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's really valuable to sort of share and talk to everybody today. So just to give you a little bit of background, so I think maybe already shared a bit, but you know, in Happier, we're always doing a lot that's helping young talent. So some of it might be events like Dream Jobs, some of it might be webinars, creating content, just to help people to navigate their career, especially today because there's so much changing in the world. So and there's a lot of information out there. So it's figuring out how to get through all the noise and understand what are the best tips and things that you need to do. So I just wanted to go through a few things. One is the trends in hiring, also like the roles and skills that are in demand. And because I've been in recruitment for 12 years, I started recruitment companies. So I kind of know what recruiters look for and what companies look for, and also running my own companies for the last 5 years. So as like a founder, you know, what we tend to look for, and also just how to stand out and upskill yourself. So in terms of the hiring trends, so, you know, I think everyone's probably seen that there's been a growing trend in certain areas like software development and digital marketing, design, data science, data analytics. But I think what's been interesting in this year with the whole pandemic is it's just been, you know, it's just accelerated so much. And it's been amplified because a lot of companies have known that they need to do this, but you know, they haven't all had the sort of pressure. They've kind of been doing it gradually or at different rates. But this year, it just made companies realize that they really have to do something and they have to do it fast. And a good example of that was, you know, having people working physically to suddenly a whole workforce working remotely. And a lot of companies weren't yet set up for that. So that's just accelerated all the skills. So if you look at those that I've mentioned, there's definitely a lot of demand in those areas. There are demand in a lot of other areas as well, like fintech and, you know, there's more into blockchain and things like that. But There are certain skills that are probably translatable. Like if you're working in a company, even though you might be like a business analyst, you might still need to understand data. Or even if you're an operations person, it might still be valuable for you to understand some of these trending skills. So yeah, definitely it's important to sort of be aware of them. And if you want to learn more about them, there's often webinars and other workshops that you can attend to learn more about them. So I would say those are more of the hard skills. But then something that's really interesting, and I think it's maybe not sort of talked about as much, is the softer skills. And if you look at, there's a World Economic Forum. So if you just Google World Economic Forum, 20 like skills that need to be learned in the next 5 years. So that they say that 50% of employees will need to be reskilled or upskilled. But the skills that they mentioned are analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, originality and initiative, leadership and social influence, technology use, monitoring and control, technology design and programming, resilience, stress, tolerance and flexibility, reasoning, problem solving and ideation. So what you'll see from this is that we're not always exactly getting to build these skills every day, right? So you need to sort of look at how you can do that. So for example, problem solving, you could do things like hackathons, for example, creativity, originality, and initiative. There's organizations that run up like Startup Weekend, where you can work on a startup and build it from scratch to finish within a weekend. So I think you've also got to, aside from like, learning data analytics, and which you'll learn skills in that as well. But I think it's also really important to look into some of these softer skills as well. And just to give, and this leads into my experience as a recruiter as well. When you go for an interview, people are trying to understand if you've got these skills. So for example, if I want to learn a little bit about how you deal with stress, how you deal with resilience, I'm going to ask you questions like behavioral questions. I'm going to say, can you tell me a stressful situation at work and how did you deal with that? Or, tell me a time that you were able to demonstrate resilience. Or tell me something where something changed and you had to adapt really quickly. Like walk me through that. Walk me through what you did and what was the results. Because, this year, the whole pandemic, we've sort of seen how things can change so fast. And the next 10 years, there's acceleration in so many ways with technology and everything. So for companies, it's going to be very important that people have these skills, because if you have these skills, then you can learn other things. You can learn the hard skills. That just comes from experience. So yeah, I really encourage you to look into like Googling the World Economic Forum, looking at these skills and try to map them. Try to figure out, okay, like I don't think I'm getting enough experience in problem solving, or like, and then try to figure out where could I pick up those skills, like, do some research, talk to people, and just be proactive around it. I think another thing that companies obviously always look for is culture fit. So, they're always trying to see if you've got the right attitude, the right mindset, you fit in with the culture. I saw some people in the previous talks talk about being genuine. I think that's very true. And so definitely just be yourself. I mean, you don't want to pretend to be something and then you get hired and it's a waste of everybody's time. But I think it's also important to really understand the company that you're meeting and try to align what they're about and what you're about, because ultimately it's supposed to be a win-win. So don't be afraid to ask questions to sort of, it should be a two-way conversation. In terms of standing out, so this is something that I think some other speakers have been speaking about, but it's almost become now, it's not a good to have. It's kind of like if you don't have it, you're kind of behind. So having a LinkedIn profile, but also making sure that your LinkedIn is really presenting you in the best way, and it's your story on there. So when I look at that, I try to look and see what that tells me about you. I can see what you're involved in. I can see things that you've done, and if there's ways that you can share links or videos or anything that can help me to understand more about you. And also, like, it's how you like what words you use and how you describe yourself. So make sure to put some effort into that. There are some workshops, and you can Google and find out some tips on how to do that. But I think it is very important to make sure that you pay attention to your personal branding. Another thing as well is visibility. I'll just give you an example. So we did a webinar recently, which was with startup fintechs and banks. We had Credit Suisse, Privet Technologies, some other banks, and typically you have a QA and at the end, and one of the students asked this question. It was a really, really good question. You could tell he thought about it. And at the end of the webinar, this senior manager from the bank asked me, I want to talk to that student. Like, can you put me in touch? I want to meet them. So it's so important just to always make sure that you come prepared, always asking good questions, always putting the best, your personal brand out there. Because the more you put out to the universe, you're obviously going to have more chance of getting back. And then just quickly on upskilling, and I think for the next 10 years or more, things are changing. So what's relevant today in 2 years may not. So I think, we've always got to be thinking about what's trending and what do I need to do to stay ahead. And so this, means taking like courses. There's online courses, there's academies, there's projects and hackathons. So just keep that. And I think a lot of young people that I meet have this, I'm seeing. So, don't stop. Once you get into a job, keep going, like keep that hunger and keep learning. So that's kind of, I think what I really wanted to sort of do is see what questions people have, because I think that also be quite relevant. So yeah, please feel free to ask me anything that you want me to expand on.
All right, thank you so much. Let's wait for a few questions to come in. Okay, give me a moment. Oh, if you would like, you can stop sharing.
Okay. I'm just checking to see if Thomas...
Oh yeah, could I just check if Thomas is here as well?
Oh, there we go.
All right, that's great. Okay. Okay, cool, your audio is working too. Yeah, so just a reminder for everyone, you guys can send in your questions via the Q&A tab, and we'll get to them immediately, because now we have dedicated some time to Q&A. Is it, okay, since we don't have any right now, is it possible for, would you be interested? Oh, okay, I have one. So yeah, you speak about standing out, but what if you don't have much experience with anything? So if you are entering industry with being very new, so like yeah, and is this especially for youths? Because when we first graduate, you don't really have much starting experience.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess you've always got to then figure out what could I do to then start to have something to put up there. And I think that's what I mean, like, always start with the end in mind. So if you're thinking, okay, I want to create a personal brand, but okay, if I work backwards, I actually need to have things to do to put on there. So maybe, this is probably obviously someone that's quite young, maybe the first year uni or second. So then my first step is then, okay, these next 3 months, I'm going to get involved in a project. I'm going to do a hackathon. Another thing that's very easy to do is go to a webinar, because that only takes 1 or 2 hours, but then write about your experience about that webinar. Like, I've seen some students do this and it's amazing, and they get a lot of engagement, but you've got to put a lot of thought into it. You've got to make sure that, you share your takeaways, and I think that's been very valuable. So that's a good starting point.
When you go into webinars, you would post your experiences on your LinkedIn, is it?
Yeah, exactly. So if you did a webinar on how to do personal branding, for example, then you would, and it's another great opportunity to connect to with your network, because you can thank the speakers. So you can say, thank you so much, Thomas. Like, this is what I really learned about, and I love the way your story about this and that. And so that, because when you link with other people, and Thomas, usually the speakers have a very big audience, right? So then you're tapping into their audience. So so it's a really good way to not only thank them, but expand your network. But then sort of go, these were the key takeaways, and then, add in there what you took from it, because that's quite personal. And, for some people, it'll resonate with them, and people like things that are a bit more personal. So it's a really good way of starting to create a bit of content and engagement.
Solid. Thank you so much. I think we will now move on to Thomas's sharing, because I think you mentioned yours was 20 minutes approximately, including Q&A, right?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So Thomas, whenever you're ready, you can start sharing your screen. If you have any more questions for Julio, please just type it in chat, and later on, before we move on to, after Thomas's sharing, we can go through it.
Sure, thank you very much. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, but it is, there you go, okay.
Is it
I think you can click the right arrow, like beside the Adobe Acrobat Pro DC, you see the arrow, the tiny arrow.
Sorry, where?
Beside the learn more, there you go, yeah. And you can zoom in a little bit, I think, yeah.
Does that work?
That's better, yeah, whenever you're ready.
Perfect, so thank you everyone. Apologies about the technical difficulties. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, Isaac, for having me. I think we went over the bios already, so I'll be speaking on career mapping. So quickly going through this, I believe Soperno already talked about this, so I'll just jump right in. So today, career mapping. I'll be going over what exactly it is and what are the steps. So we'll be going over 6 key steps. The first one is knowing yourself, researching and dreaming big, defining your path, career exploration, actually doing it, marketing yourself and networking as many people during this conference as said, and career management. So once you get to your dream career, how do you stay there and what are the next steps? So during this sort of process, it'd be really great if everyone can get out a piece of pen or piece of paper, pen, pencil, or have your laptop if you don't already have it to go through this sort of exercises. I want to make this a bit interactive. So it will be a lot of self-assessment, figuring out what you like, what you don't like, and then the necessary steps to get the jobs that you want. So first off, what exactly is a career map? Career map is a more structured and creative process that really allows you to self-reflect and articulate your goals professionally. You're able to dream a bright future and plan how to actually get there. So why is it actually important? It helps you plan more efficiently, it helps you save time, and leads you to a happier and more fulfilling life with a satisfying career. Because we spend so much time at work, so you might as well find something you are passionate about. Career maps don't always follow a straight line. They go from different steps, horizontally, vertically, going forward, going backwards. It always does that. And they're not set in stone, it's always changing. So career map here, as you can see, can help you avoid taking jobs that will lead you nowhere. It will figure out what gaps you need to fill and how to strive for something beyond a paycheck, and then bouncing back whenever there's a setback, which is bound to happen.
Hi, Thomas. So sorry. Do you mind clicking the full screen? It's under View.
Sorry, one second.
And full screen mode, so you can see better. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Let me see if I can look at my notes as well. One second. Oh, because it's too big, actually.
You can share that specific window for the Adobe Reader. So once you go into full screen, if you can just Alt-Tab, and then you can go to your notes.
Okay. Does that work?
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So here's an example at the bottom. It's a software development manager, and pretty much there's different steps. Everyone has a different starting point, and then you can see, what do I need to do to get there? So I need to get an internship. I need to get some more courses, get more knowledge, then maybe apply for a junior role, move up to a senior role, and finally become a manager. So I remember going through this process many times during my own university years. I even started out studying medicine thinking I wanted to be a doctor, as many Asian students do. But that changed very quickly as I took on courses, internships as well. So I reset and replanned my career map, which is why it's so important. So the most fulfilling careers are really ones that suit your personality, your talents, your skills, and your interests and priorities. They're very different for everyone. So you can't compare yourself to someone else in a different situation in their life with different interests. So you really should be comparing only to yourself. And also, if you're a student and you still don't know what you want to do, that's perfectly okay. Take this time to really explore and plan, try different things, because then you'll figure out what you like and what you don't like. The process is always ongoing, as I mentioned, and it's really fluid. So you can move between different steps, move back, move forward. So really go at your own pace. So again, before I go through the next steps, if everyone can get out a piece of paper, pen, pencil, follow along, that'd be awesome. So for step 1, it's knowing yourself. So it's really self-reflection. So here, you should definitely look at your skills. So if you can write down these sort of steps and then write down your skills or your interests, we can go through these. So firstly, a lot of HR people, and a really popular one is Myers-Briggs personality test. So you can take that on your own time and figure out, the ENTF, INFJ, those sorts of things. And they can sort of guide you to what are suitable careers. But today we'll just go over these sort of basics first. So skills. This one, you have to figure out what you're good at. So write down the skills. Maybe you're good at math, at science, at putting puzzles together, at video games, drawing, coming up with new creative solutions. So you can pick many different skills that you're good at. You can also pick up skills while you're studying courses, student organizations, research activities. For those of you who are saying, well, I don't have many skills, but actually you can learn these during university. So you might think skills aren't very important, but actually if you look at a lot of jobs, the tasks and responsibilities, most of the time, these tasks are associated with a specific skill. So that's why we need to look at first your skills, where you are and where you want to be in the future. Next are your values. These are pretty vague, but they're quite essential. And it's pretty much what is important to you and what has worth or value. So they can be family, religion, marriage, education. And again, they vary person to person. So please write down the ones that are valuable to you. They act as a foundation to the way we live. For example, someone who values maybe helping others, they may end up choosing a career in social work or a doctor or a nurse. So by lining up your skills and your values, this will lead you to a happier life during your work. There's also work-related values. So these can be autonomy, benefits, creativity, flexibility, flexible working hours, high salaries, job stability, intellectual growth, prestige, working alone versus working in a group. So again, please take a few minutes to write down what skills and values you have at work and in your life. And then next is, what are your interests? So what do you enjoy doing? What subjects do you enjoy, activities? What people do you enjoy being around that make you happier? These sorts of things can be things that excite you or make you want to learn more and keep you curious. So there's so many. You can write down dancing, animals, health, gardening, travel, media, photography, hiking, swimming, you name it. So write down the skills, values, and interests you have. And then next are your priorities. So these are things you prioritize, maybe work-life balance. So you want to have more of a balance with your family or your personal time. They can be prestige. You value prestigious careers. It can be money. You want to value money more than your work-life balance. So maybe you want to go into finance or banking, autonomy, doing what you enjoy, etc. So jot some priorities down, and then we'll go to the next step. So this one, we'll give you like maybe 20 seconds to go through. And then Myers-Briggs, you can go through on your own time and then see what careers are suitable there. So next, I'll go to step 2, which is doing your research. So here, you might have to do this step more on your own time. We'll just go through it and then you can sort of pick a career. But pretty much after looking at yourself, your values, your interests, your priorities, and maybe your Myers-Briggs and your personality test, you can sort of see which careers fit you. So we're talking about your dream career, not your next job, but the career you ultimately want to be in. So dream big. Spend some time going through, and then you should be looking at other successful people who are doing what you want to be doing in a few years. So figure out how they got there, why they got there, what makes them happy, and what skills you're lacking that you need to acquire to get there. So should also look at any obstacles you may have to overcome, and always stay up to date with your industry so that you can see it's always changing. And pretty much this part I'll let you do alone, but for now you can maybe write down a career you're thinking about based on your self-assessment. Maybe it can be a software engineer manager, a principal at a primary school, a head chef at a restaurant, you name it. So just choose one for now, and then we'll continue with the exercise. So after you've done this, next step is making a plan. So pretty much here, you're taking all that research, all that self-assessment, and then you're going through. And once you have your dream career, you're going to need to make a list of positions and occupations that will help you get there. So maybe, for example, the one we used earlier about the software development manager, you're going to need to be a junior developer first, senior one, and then there. Maybe if you want to be a principal, you need to get into education first, get your bachelor's degree, go teach at a school for a few years, get your master's degree, get a promotion for a departmental head leader, and then principal. So again, these paths are super different for everybody. So just look at your own, fill in the positions, and then fill in the qualifications. So for the junior developer, what skills do I need there? What qualifications go there? Set small goals so that you can realistically achieve them. So maybe for the junior developer role, you need to learn JavaScript or these different tools. So whatever you don't have in your skills, then you can go and acquire those skills so you can fill those gaps. Always plan to learn new skills, gain knowledge, and always upskill yourselves because, again, the qualifications are always changing. I see even for marketing roles, sometimes they're asking for coding or for Python for data and analysis. So figure out where you want to go and how to get there. So here you can jot down a few different steps because your dream career isn't going to be your first or second job. It's going to be the job later down the road. So there's always a starting point and a path. So I'll give you some time to go through that. Just jot them down. You can do the research later about the qualifications. And then next step is the career exploration. So actually going through this. So now you've done some research, you want to go through and apply it. So you want to go apply for internships in different positions. Maybe you take a summer internship in software development and you realize, I really don't like this. I did that for accounting. I wanted to go into accounting and I took an internship or a course and it wasn't for me. So it's not for everyone. You may think you want to do it, but then you realize you don't. Volunteer. I did this at a hospital. So when I was wanting to become a doctor, I volunteered for a whole year at a hospital and I realized I'm too much of a germaphobe to work there. So I ended up switching my career path and going back to step one, reassessing. Speak to people, speak to your professors, speak to people in the industry, community leaders, industry experts. I shadowed a doctor. Again, I realized that it wasn't what I thought it'd be. It was very rushed. There wasn't much doctor-patient personalized time that I really wanted and valued, especially with all the new medical insurance and profitability of hospitals. So that's where I realized maybe it's not for me. And then of course, always research. So you want to make sure that you always have accurate information because sometimes career information can be outdated or obsolete since things are always changing. I mean, a lot of the top jobs and roles now didn't exist 10 years ago. So this will probably continue to apply. Maybe the future jobs in 10 years don't exist now. So you always want to stay up to date and reassess, reevaluate, and stay on top of the trends. So after career exploration, maybe you realize it's not for you. That's perfectly fine. You can go back a step or two, reassess, and see if it aligns with your values and your interests, and then continue moving forward. Afterwards, you can start researching, gathering more skills for a new position. And then whenever you're in your job, remember to always ask for performance reviews at work to see how you can be improved, how you can improve and better fit your next role. Step 5 is to market yourself and network. So this is a really big theme I saw in the earlier sessions. So pretty much you want to make sure that you can find a job and you'll show companies why they should hire you. So now that you've researched, you've acquired the necessary skills, you have to sell yourself. So you have to show how you add value to a company, a department. And networking is really big here because as you network, you'll broaden your job opportunities inside the company and outside. You learn about different positions, different roles within your company by talking to different people and see if that's for you. And you get a first-hand experience and knowledge about what it really takes to get there and what the day-to-day is like. Then you can decide if you want to jump to that role or you want to reassess again. And for a while now, job seekers have usually done the traditional route. They've applied on job advertisements. They've gone through employment agencies, on-campus recruitment. But studies have actually shown that only 1 in 5 job openings in a company are actually advertised like that. 48% of job hunters actually find job seekers actually find their jobs through people they've met. So it's gonna be friends, friends of friends, faculty, alumni, friends of parents. And actually most of my past jobs have been found this way. So that's why you should definitely network, keep your CV, personal brand up to date. As Julia mentioned, LinkedIn is something recruiters always look at. The last job I got, or actually not the last job, maybe the first job after graduating and starting my own companies, after they failed, I saw a startup that was doing very well. And I reached out on LinkedIn, asked if I can set up a coffee. And then they invited me to an exclusive event. I sat there, I brought questions and research. I spoke to the CEO, I shared why I was interested, what skills I had that can maybe add value. And I asked for a job. I was like, hey, I want to work here. There was no role for me yet, but 3 days later, they developed a role just for me and I was hired within a week. So it shows how networking can really help and help you stand out as well. So always try to see how you can improve your brand. Make sure one thing as well, it's about timing and realistic expectations. So I was very lucky for the 1 week, but actually it may take more time. It may take 6 months, 10 months to get your initial career position. So it's good to start early, which I think a lot of you are doing, and be persistent, stay optimistic, and just keep going. So next one is career management. So after you get into your career or your first roles, there's these career moves you can do. So I'll go over them real quickly. Forward career move, sideways, and backwards. So forward career move is normally the one people want to do. This one is involving advancing in your career through promotions, pay increases within the company. For instance, you may get promoted from a sales team leader to vice president of sales. So that's pretty straightforward. However, that's not the only move you can make. And maybe a sideways move or backwards move is actually more beneficial. So I've seen a lot of people nowadays take sideways moves, achieve their career, their dream career. So it's more strategic. Pretty much sideways or lateral career moves, they can definitely change your career path. This involves switching to a position either within your company. That means you're not taking a step down or up, it's just going sideways. And employees sometimes choose this to broaden your experiences, become more successful in the future. For example, maybe you want to transition from accounting department to marketing department within the same company. So you want to take a sideways move. The third one is a backwards career move. So this one involves taking a step back or down in status or pay. This may seem like career suicide, but actually it makes perfect sense for a lot of people wanting to switch careers or who have sort of plateaued and want to try something new. So sometimes a lot of mid-level senior managers may take a backwards move and try to switch careers or industries. That's perfectly okay. For instance, maybe someone wants to leave a finance job to pursue a career in photography or newspaper media or something. So that's perfectly okay. So once you're actually at your career, you want to keep track of all the accomplishments so that you can update your LinkedIn, your CV, market yourself for your next role. You should learn how to negotiate because that will always come in handy in your current career or maybe your next jump, and then also reevaluate. So here, again, it's really important to set realistic expectations so you don't get down, you need to stay motivated. But it's okay maybe after a year or two or a few years, if you've reached your dream career and you're not satisfied as you were in the beginning, or maybe your values or interests or priorities change, maybe you got married, had a kid, so you value now more work-life balance than money, then you should reassess, which means you go back to step one of these 6 steps and then go through the process again, which is perfectly normal. Everybody does this, so don't worry about that. And professional work, just want to say, is very different from school. So for school, you have a lot of projects, you have grades. It's very evaluations in large corporations and startups, SMEs, completely not the same as in school. So you really have to adapt to your environment. Then you have to be flexible, stay proactive. People aren't going to be giving you everything you need to know. They're not going to tell you, okay, you need to do this, 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 this. It's up to you to really go out there and figure out what you need to do to get to where you want. And you should always stay proactive. You should see what you can do more in the company, in your team, how you can get more experience, how you can get more responsibilities, because that's how you grow and reach to your next step. So again, once you figure out you've plateaued, your career interests have changed, a lot of the times the Myers-Briggs personality test has also changed. So it's good to do it every few years to see how you've changed in your personality type. And maybe it's time for a new role. In that case, it's perfectly okay. I mean, back then, a lot of people normally stay in the same company for 15, 20 years. But I think nowadays, millennials and Gen Z, we don't do that. We are always eager and hungry to try new experiences, try new different departments. So that's why it's okay for career jumps. Actually, I think according to the statistics, a lot of people nowadays have 3 or 4 career jumps in their life. You can have more, you can have less. Everybody's very different. So really focus on your values, your goals, your objectives, and that will make you happy, because something that makes you happy or something you value is not something that someone else values. So that's pretty much from my side. Thank you so much for your time and happy mapping. I think now we can go to Q&A.
All right, thank you so much. That was really, really so interesting. Julia, are you there? I think if there's any questions, you can come in and help Thomas if he needs anything.
I'm happy to answer as well.
All right, so yeah, if you guys have any questions for Julio as well for his previous session, and if Julio feels like he can provide some input on his end as well for any of the questions going to be posed, that would be much, much appreciated. All right, so the first question we have is from V. They ask, what is the essence of a personal brand? So yeah, you guys can.
What is the essence of a personal brand? This is a very good question. I think Julio and I both can answer that because it might be different a little bit. But for me, personal brand is when someone says your name, what do people think about? Do they go, oh, that's a very trustworthy person? Oh, that person always borrows people's money and never returns it, so not really reliable? Or is that person, oh, he's accounting? So if you have any accounting questions, go to that person. Or maybe they're like a rock star lawyer or soon to be rock star lawyer. Then this is sort of your personal brand, what people associate you with, and what values are associated with you as well. So for me, that's personal brand. Julio, maybe you can add on from your experiences.
So I think if you think about like physical interactions, that first impression is vital, right? And first impressions are first 10 seconds. So when you're with someone physically, you're picking up on cues, you're picking up on how interested in you they are, or so you have a lot of different cues that you can work around to sort of see, like, is this a person that I want to engage with? I want to like get to know more, but now we're in a very digital world through LinkedIn, through social media. So I sort of see personal brand is like an extension of our physical world. So by that I mean, when people look at your personal brand or your profile, they're getting an impression within a few seconds, 10 seconds. So you've got to imagine if your personal brand on LinkedIn was talking, like what's it saying about you? So what, and also put yourself in other people's shoes. Like think about like, if I don't know myself and I'm looking at my LinkedIn, what am I going to be thinking? So that's the sense of personal brand means to me.
And just to add in, one of my favorite quotes, I think this can apply for branding or sales or anything, is when someone meets you, they're not going to remember what you said to them, but how you made them feel. So that's something really to take into consideration.
All right, thank you so much. I have actually heard that quote before, so I know how true that can be.
I heard that one too.
All right, this is a combined questions between it's with Guang Yu and Oluwamayowa, and they are asking this is specifically for Thomas, I think, but if Julie you have any opinions as well, you can pitch in. But it's that what made you realize that medicine is not right for you, and also like they're curious about your transition from medicine because they are like, what were your fears and any resistance from family, friends, etc. So yeah.
That's a very good question. So my background is I was born in Cambodia and I grew up in the US. So my family went through the Cambodian genocide. A lot of Cambodia is still very poor now. They never recovered back. So we used to be one of the richest in Asia. And then after the Khmer Rouge came in, they killed like 20% of our population. They never recovered. So I really wanted to go back to Cambodia and help out. So my ultimate goal in the beginning was to get my degree in medicine, then move back to Cambodia and help out the clinics there and the infrastructure. But I had to reassess my situation financially, my interests, my values, my time once I got into uni. And I realized I went to school in the US for my bachelor's. I realized first off, it was going to take a very long time. I was looking at least 10 years of education before I became a doctor in the US. Not to mention, I would have probably been $500,000 US in debt if I went to a top medical school. And then I also was thinking, looking at salaries and positions in Cambodia, how am I going to help set up clinics and pay other doctors to go there if I can't even pay for my own expenses as a doctor? So these sorts of things made me realize, okay, maybe I can contribute more to Cambodia and society by going a different route. Maybe I can go into business, make money, and help donate my time, resources, and money to help Cambodia, which I'm actually doing right now. So I'm helping the infrastructure there. I'm an advisor for UNDP, United Nations Development. They're helping startups, entrepreneurs, young people. So it's just reassessing your values. And after a year working in a hospital, I also realized it's not as exciting to me as I wanted. But a lot of my friends are still pursuing this route. Some of them are still in school, but others are already practicing and they love it. So again, it's always different. And at a different stage in your life, your values and your path may change as well. So I went back, reassessed my career map and how I was going to achieve my end goal, which is still the same.
All right, thank you so much. Next question is from Tinsar, and she asked, how about marketing yourself initially for youths? We are not used to doing this, and so some of us may come across as faking ourselves. So what advice would you guys give to such people?
Maybe Julio, I'll let you start for this one.
I was going to say the same thing for you to share. Yeah, I mean, I think this one's always like an interesting question because people always say be genuine, but if you have to think about being genuine, I mean, yeah, I guess there is some intention there. Like, you know, you've got to think about, okay, what does that mean? And you can have an approach to that. But I think at the same time, it's, not meaning like, you have to sort of try and figure out like how am I going to position myself? Like it's just trying to just being the real you. I think when you're presenting yourself online or events or something, you've obviously got to make sure that you're presenting professionally, that you're asking questions and not just talking about yourself and those kind of things. But I think the rest of it is just your personality. It's just, if you're an introvert, don't try to be extroverted, and the other way around, right? Because, you can never kind of make everybody happy. Like it's impossible. So I think just being true to yourself. And I think as long as you follow I think I always sort of say this thing, it's just be a good human. And we all know what that means. So, you know, just be kind to people and be thoughtful and everything. And I think if you do those things and you be professional and then you just be yourself, then that's it. That's being genuine. And sometimes some people it won't click with, you know, you'll have a uncomfortable interaction, or you'll kind of feel like that didn't work, but it's just not to dwell on it. And then, you know, just go and talk to more people. So I think that's kind of what I sort of see about being genuine and real. Yeah.
To add on, I mean, a lot of people say fake it till you make it, but I think you are not giving yourself enough credit. Even students who are looking for internships who don't have experience, you can always sell your experiences from class. Did you lead a team project? Did you organize something in a student organization? Did you fundraise? So I'm putting my mindset in that of a student. A lot of times people have the skills, you just don't realize it and you don't know how to market it. So first off, there's such thing as transferable skills. So I remember just working as a waiter in a restaurant. You may think that's nothing to do with like a finance job or selling, but actually, if you look at transferable skills, as long as you can show, okay, I learned to deal with large sums of money. I learned how to deal with guests, customers from all over the world. I learned how to be accountable, showing up on time every single day and working as a team. You can show those skills and you're not really faking it because it's just you taking those skills and making it relevant to the job you want to go to. Secondly, like Julio said earlier about attending webinars, I do this a lot as a student. I would tag the people and then I would post my key takeaways. So this shows that you are proactive, you're going out there and doing more than you're supposed to. You're connecting, networking, and you're taking away really great lessons. So you're always learning. People are always looking for lifelong learners. And then maybe other speakers or other people on LinkedIn may see it and learn something from you, and they're going to remember you. So that way you can market your own brand as someone who's always learning, always sharing with the community. And then you can also develop a portfolio. So maybe you can create your own website. You can have different projects you've worked on in class or for volunteer, and that counts as skills and experience. So you just need to market that and show how it adds value. There's always an angle to take.
I just add one extra thing there as well. I've actually hired people through LinkedIn engagement because they like a post that I did or they made a comment, and it just reminded me. And I was like, oh, actually, I should connect with that person. So I reached out to them and hired them. So it's very powerful, but it's not like one post on LinkedIn is going to change your world. You've got to have a bit of consistency and just try to do it as often as you can.
And then sorry, one more thing. Just like bouncing off ideas. I think the biggest thing people are scared of is being rejected. It's perfectly normal. You're going to get rejected from your first time, your second, maybe 10. That's happened to me too. And I think the problem with social media is people don't show this. They always show, oh, I got a job. Oh, I did this. But actually, there's so much failure and repetition that happens before that. So I failed so much. I've been rejected. I'm not going to post about it on social media because we don't do that. I think we should. But it just shows you got to be resilient and don't be scared of rejection. Like take it as, okay, that's down. 9 more rejections to go to get to the success.
Thank you so much. That was really, really insightful. The next questions, actually the next 2 questions, because they're kind of similar. So Quimin asked, would you like to give any advice to year 1 students in university looking for an internship? And a second one is, in the event you're unable to find any internship despite being in your final year in university, do you think it's still possible to find your dream career?
Yeah. Oh. I was just going to start with there's this sort of notion about dream jobs, dream careers, and we do have an event called Dream Jobs, but it's kind of a bit of a marketing play. But I don't think there is such a thing as a dream job and a dream job, because you kind of find something that really fits and you make it a dream job, because once you get into a job, it then relies on you, right? Let's say you're going into an internship and you go in there and it's great, but it's not dream yet. But by then navigating and talking to the team and the CEO or whatever, you start to get a bit more visibility or exposure to other parts. So it actually can expand as once you're in the role. So I think, because that's also like an expectation. If we're like, I need to find my dream job, I need to find my dream job. I think it's really like when you're young, and I've actually seen people, I had one intern who did an internship, and at the end of the internship, I was like, how did you find it? And they were like, I loved working at Happier, but I didn't really enjoy the job nature. And then I was like, oh, I was surprised because that person was so diligent and like they were hitting the KPIs and everything. I was like, I was amazed. And then they said, yeah, I realized I don't want to do that. But what I really saw from that was that, you know, sometimes that's part of like getting closer to your ideal job. But sometimes if you're not in the perfect place, you can still make most out of it. You can still do a lot. And you can teach yourself how to be disciplined, how to, you know, despite maybe not seeing this as your long term, you can still make something out of it. But yeah, over to you, Thomas.
Just supplement, that person ended up in a large bank afterwards. So pretty successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first question for year one students, I think as long as you can demonstrate your passion, that's what I like about hiring year one students for internships is they are fresh, they're super excited, they have a lot of energy, and they're open to everything. I think a lot of times when you're later on, you're a bit more picky, which is perfectly fine. But year one students are there to soak up. So as long as you can show that you're eager, you're like a quick learner, and you're really able to jump in when necessary, especially in a small startup, and just learn and contribute as much as possible, that's perfectly fine. It's up to you to figure out how to market that to the hiring department. A lot of times there's also internships specifically for year one students that you can find as well. And again, network, it's scary for first year, but you can definitely do that. And then for final year students, if you don't have an internship, I think it's okay. I don't think I had an internship my final year as well. I actually ended up starting my own business. You can either try to start your own thing, but also if you don't, just again, demonstrate all the value and skills you've brought when you're applying for a job and have a reason why you didn't have a summer internship. Maybe you were volunteering. Maybe you were taking a part-time job as a waiter to help pay for financials. People understand you need to live and pay your bills. Or you worked on a project, personal project that you just want to do for fun. So you can always sort of make it in a way that markets it like in a beneficial or positive way. It's like about the angles in marketing.
All right.
Just add one little thing. I found like for first year students, because we've hired some for internships, and I think they come into the interview and they have that thinking that, oh, I don't have experience. And they start to say that in the interview. They're like, oh, I know I don't have experience. I know I haven't, this is my first internship. And so I think that when you go into that interview, don't think about what you don't have, think about what you have. And Thomas made some good examples of translatable skills, because going into an interview, a lot of it is about mindset. So if you go into that interview thinking, this is what I'm good at, I'm going to talk about my strengths in this, and I've done this. That is the most important thing. Like, you don't have to excuse not having experience, because we expect that if it's your first internship, you're not going to have it. So that helps build your confidence and helps you present better.
One more thing, sorry.
Go for it.
On that,
we're from a career platform.
I know your students.
It's like natural.
Yeah, even for like first jobs after graduating, a lot of the times you're going to be doing something that's completely different from what you studied in school. And most of the time you will get trained on the job, so you'll get the experience there. So even for us, even when I hire first year versus final year, most of the skills for the jobs we're hiring for can be taught on the job, at least for my departments that I'm overseeing.
All right, thank you so much. We are gonna overshot if we take any more questions. So I'm really, really sorry to everyone who had questions, but they couldn't get to it. But do you guys mind letting them know your LinkedIn socials so they can contact you directly about any questions that they might have about anything you guys said today?
Sure.
Yeah.
Or you can just type it in and I'll just copy paste into the general chat.
Okay. I saw some people add me on LinkedIn already, so that's fantastic, and I'll accept and happy to connect.
Yeah. So thank you so much, guys. It was really, really great hearing from you. If you guys want to connect to Julio and Thomas, please do connect to them via LinkedIn, and they will be typing it in the chat. Yeah. So thank you guys so much.